Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be doing the intro to the Crusades. The Crusades are a series of battles that happened in the Holy Land and were between the Christians and the Muslims. You can get more information and more background on what the Crusades were as you do part one. So, part one directions say, introduction video. Pick one of the videos below to get an introduction about the Crusades and then answer the 3 questions. So you have 2 choices. You can do video 1, which is the basics, just what you need to know, or you can do video 2, which is more of the story. So a little bit more background, a little bit more detail into the Crusades. You then have the 3 questions that you need to answer. Which video did you watch? What was one cause of the Crusades, and what is something that happened as a result of the Crusades? So something that happened after the Crusades were over. So we will now move on to part 2, which is read the following and answer the 2 questions in complete sentences. The Crusades were a series of holy wars starting in 1095 CE. That lasted into the end of the 13th century, or 1200 CE, in which European Christians tried to win control of the Holy Land from the Muslims, the Islamic caliphates. So as we've been talking we've been learning about over the last couple of days, the Islamic caliphates are these Islamic empires, and they have taken over the area that is the Holy Land, and the European Christians are now trying to gain control of it. So you have 2 groups that are fighting each other for this land in the Crusades. This is a factual question. Go back into that paragraph and you can answer it. If you need to pause here to answer the questions, please do that. If not, you can always go back and answer the questions after. The Holy Land is a region of the Middle East that includes modern-day Israel-Palestine, Western Jordan, and parts of southern Lebanon and southwestern Syria. This area is called the Holy Land because events important to the followers of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam took place here. The Holy Land went through different rulers throughout history. This area was considered extremely important by the Muslims, Christians, and Jewish people, and so all of the groups wanted to be in control of the area. This led to the beginning of the Crusades between the Muslims and the Christians. So the second question is also a factual question. Why did the Muslims and Christians fight over the Holy Land? Go right back into the reading. Why are they fighting over this land? What does it mean to both of them? Part 3, Cornell notes. We've done Cornell notes before. So if you remember, the Cornell notes is when you have a text, something that you're reading, and then you are highlighting as you read information that goes along with the specific categories. So usually there are 5 categories. You highlight the information. You then write the notes that you highlighted in your own words, and then you create a summary at the end. So you're going to read through the text on the Crusades and highlight at least 2 sentences for each section in the specific colors. So background would be blue, First Crusade purple, Christian states in Second Crusade green, Third Crusade red, and the Fourth Crusade and the end of the Crusades in orange. You should be highlighting the most important information only. So you have a couple of paragraphs for each section. You should only be highlighting the most important information. You're then going to rewrite the Cornell notes in your own words. So you're not just copying and pasting it. You're looking at what you highlighted, and then you're writing it in your own words. At the end, you're creating a 5-sentence summary of all of the information together. So you're really kind of taking the most important information from each of those, and then you're putting it into the summary. So we're going to read through together now, and I'm going to highlight 2 sentences in each paragraph, in each section. You don't need to use the exact same ones as me, but if you want, as I highlight, you can also be highlighting. In 1095 CE, Emperor Alexius of the Byzantine Empire sent advisors to Pope Urban II, the head of the Catholic Church, asking for troops from the West to help fight the threat of Turkish Muslims. The Turkish Muslims were charging the Byzantine Christians attacks to make pilgrimage, religious journeys to the Holy Land, making threats to Christians and destroying Christian shrines. The Pope called on the Christians to go to war in order to help the Byzantines and recapture the Holy Land from Muslim control. He declared that all fighters who died in battle would have all their sins forgiven. Many answered the Pope's call to arms. In the West, not only did the men want to help, they also wanted a chance to leave their life on the feudal manors. It was determined that those who joined the Crusades would wear a cross as a symbol of the church. These soldiers were called Crusaders. So, I think two good sentences here to highlight would be this last one in the first paragraph saying the Turkish Muslims were charging the Byzantine Christians attacks to make pilgrimages or religious journeys to the Holy Land, making threats to Christians and destroying Christian shrines. It gives you a little bit of background information as to why these two groups were fighting one another. So highlight color, and we'll do the blue. I think the second sentence that is a good one to highlight would be the first one in the second paragraph, which is a big here. So now you have two main ideas of the background information, and this is going to be helpful when you then go write it in your own words and then you make a summary of the Crusades. Okay, moving on to the next one, the First Crusade. 4 armies of crusaders from Western Europe, all led by generals, departed for Byzantium in August 1096 CE. A less organized group of knights and commoners, known as the People's Crusade, set off before the others under the command of the popular preacher. The People's Crusaders pillaged through the Byzantine Empire, destroying villages and homes. It is the first major clash between the Crusaders and the Muslims. Turkish forces crushed the invading Europeans. The 4 main armies of Crusaders arrived in Constantinople and set out together to take back the Holy Land. By 1099 CE, the First Crusade was successful in capturing Jerusalem, the city where Jesus was born, parts of the Middle East, and other parts of Asia. The armies then established 4 Christian states to rule over the new land. So I think, and here we're doing in purple, I think if you start here, the People's Crusaders pillaged through the Byzantine Empire, destroying villages and homes. It is the first major clash between Crusaders and the Muslims. I think this is kind of some good background here. So you can highlight in purple. And then this last sentence here, the armies by 1099 CE, the First Crusade was successful in capturing Jerusalem for the Christians. So you can highlight that in purple as well. Okay, moving on to the next part. Christian states and the Second Crusade. The 4 Christian states kept the advantage in the area until around 1130 CE, when Muslim forces began gaining ground in their own holy war, or jihad, against the Christians. In 1144 CE, one of the Muslim generals captured one of the 4 Christian states named Edessa. News of Edessa's capture shocked Europe and led Christian authorities in the West to call for another crusade. Led by French and German rulers, the Second Crusade began in 1147 CE. These forces were defeated in minor battles with the Muslim Turks. The Christian forces were then completely defeated in 1149 CE by the Turks, who added more territory to their empire. So here you have the Christians kept the advantage when then Muslim forces began gaining ground, right? So I kind of showed you what's going on in the beginning, right? So the Christians had the advantage. Now the Muslims are starting to gain the advantage during the Second Crusade. So you can do green for that one. And then the last sentence here, the Christian forces were then completely defeated in 1149 CE by the Turks, who added more territory to their empire. So now, while the Christians had won, sorry, I should have highlighted this one. I didn't highlight that one correctly. While the Christians won the first one, the Muslims, the Turks, were able to win the second one. Okay, sorry for that mistake. There you go. You have your two green highlighted sentences for the Second Crusade. Okay, moving on to the Third Crusade. In 1187 CE, the Muslim soldiers recaptured the city of Jerusalem from the Christians. Outrage over this inspired the Third Crusade. In September 1191 CE, the Christians and Muslims fought in the Middle East. This would be the only true battle of the Third Crusade. The Crusaders then approached Jerusalem, though they did not try to enter the city. In September 1192 CE, Christian and Muslim leaders signed a peace treaty that reestablished the Kingdom of Jerusalem, allowed for Christians to enter for pilgrimage, and ended the Third Crusade. So, I think we can do the first sentence here. Right, so the Muslim soldiers recaptured the city of Jerusalem from the Christians. I want to highlight in red here. Hopefully you can still see. And then the last sentence here, in September 1192 CE, Christian and Muslim leaders signed a peace treaty and reestablished the Kingdom of Jerusalem and allowed Christians to enter for pilgrimages. Okay, final section, Fourth Crusade and the end of the Crusades. The Fourth Crusade was also referred to as the Traders' Crusade. Mediterranean merchants joined the Crusades. However, they never reached the Holy Land. These merchants instead plundered or stole from the Byzantine Empire and established trading ports in the Christian states in the Middle East. 1212 CE saw the start of the Children's Crusade. The Children's Crusade involved over 50,000 children who were recruited to fight for the Holy Land. Most of these children either died on their march, died in battle, or were captured by the Turks to be used as slaves. Other small crusades were also attempted during this time, but little was accomplished. The last Christian outpost, or troop stationed near the battleground, fell to Turkish forces in 1291 CE, ending almost 200 years of Western Christian presence in the Holy Land. So, for this last part here, we could probably have a few sentences here that would be good. We could do I think probably the Children's Crusade is probably important. That's probably an important one that we should highlight. Right, that 50,000 children were sent and recruited to fight in the Holy Land. And then this last part here, the last Christian outpost or troop station near the battleground fell to Turkish forces in 1291 CE, ending almost 200 years of Western Christian presence in the Holy Land. So you want to highlight that as well. Now, I'm going to quickly just go through and show you again what's been highlighted in each paragraph so you can just check. So from the Crusades background, what we have highlighted in blue. So again, we have two sentences highlighted in each section. Okay, you have the First Crusade, so you have your two in purple. You have the Christian states in the Second Crusade in green. You have the Third Crusade in red. And then you have the Fourth Crusade and the end of the Crusades in orange. Okay, so again, you should have two sentences highlighted in each section. Now, when you get down to the Cornell notes, you need to put these in your own words. So you're going to make sure that the background, the 2 sentences that you highlighted above, are then put into the background section in your own words. So don't just copy and paste. Make sure that you look at the sentence that you highlighted and write it in your own words, capital letter at the beginning, period at the end. Okay, so you have 2 sentences for each. Once you get to the end, you do your 5-sentence summary. Okay,